This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC Mexico City. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, my most confident picks, favorite underdogs, the Degen props of the night, and then finish it out with the parlays. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and make sure to share the video as well. Last week, got the lock streak rolling 2 weeks in a row. I had back-to-back women's strawweight locks. Amanda Lemos came through, beating Mackenzie Dern in a pretty tough out and a good back and forth, but a fight where I felt she deserved the win and did more damage overall, even though that third round she was losing and it was worrisome heading to the judges' scorecards that maybe the damage she would be done could be overlooked. Thankfully, did not happen that way, and Lemos pulled it off on the scorecards. And listen, the lock streak is flowing. I'm glad to have a couple weeks in a row, looking to make it 3 in a row this week. So without further ado, the lock of the week.
Fighting out of Tijuana, Mexico, Manuel El Loco Torres.
Manuel Torres to beat Chris Duncan is my lock this week. I had to go with a Mexican knockout artist in Mexico against Chris Duncan, who does not train at any high elevation, right? He's coming from Scotland and he's training pretty much at sea level. And now we're over in Mexico City, which, you know, is a place where many of fighters have found gas tank issues, and we see it time and time again whenever we go to Mexico. The foreign fighters coming in are going to struggle a little bit later. An advantage that maybe Chris Duncan would have had if they were fighting in Vegas over Manuel Torres could be the gas tank. I don't think so here. I think Manuel Torres is dangerous throughout this entire fight. I'm predicting him to win by knockout here. We've seen Chris Duncan rocked early in fights. We've seen him knocked out in the past, and he's fighting Manuel Torres, who's a pretty explosive striker, who's fast, nasty, and a guy who's willing to sit in the pocket and throw big power shots and does have a pretty durable Mexican chin to go alongside of his big knockout power. Now, looking at the betting lines from Manuel Torres, we've seen it get a little bit wider after it actually came down. It's currently minus 190. At open, it was minus 200, but it was even money last week. It was at minus 115. So Torres now is a minus 190 favorite. There's people throwing down on it, and I think for good reason. It's my lock this week. Plus 165, Chris Duncan, the underdog on the opposite front. I do think this fight is going under 2.5. That's minus 450. As of the current moment of this recording, I do not have the knockout prop, which is crazy. It hasn't come out yet. But I'll tell you this. The knockout prop will sit around plus 115, I would assume. Maybe minus 115 even, and then upwards of plus 140. I think Manuel Torres by knockout is going to hit. I'm picking him to win, so obviously Moneyline is a great bet, right? Just in case things were to go a different way. The knockout makes a lot of sense to me for a prop to go alongside of the lock of the week bet of Manuel Torres. Torres, knockout, lock of the week. I see him hitting. I see myself going to 3 weeks in a row, and we're getting that double-digit streak this year. It was damn close. I was one off from it last year, and we're going to make it happen this year. Manuel Torres for the win, knockout over Chris Duncan, in which would be a pretty damn exciting fight and a good battle. I'm excited to talk the next section, most confident picks. I think I have some very interesting ones, some that could even be considered locks of the week, but, you know, didn't have the value line that I wanted to jump at and put it as the official lock of the week. I'll bring them up on screen. We'll briefly talk each one, and then I'll go more in depth. So Moreno, minus 290, money line. Barcelos, minus 190, money line. Dos Santos, minus 290 money line. And then Edgar Shirez, minus 445. Ugly. Honorable mention, Mohamed Naimov, who I didn't include because I said I already threw a minus 440 in there as a most confident pick. That's pushing it. Anything over minus 500, it's too ugly to bring in the lineup here. But Shirez, we'll talk a prop that can bring you a little bit, more than just a disgusting rate. Let's talk first, though, with Brandon Moreno, who is a pick that could easily be a lock. It's just money line betting wise, not beautiful. It's minus 290 for Brandon Moreno. I expect him to beat Royval a second time. I still think Moreno's in his prime. I think Moreno's boxing is dangerous. I think his kicks are good. His wrestling is obviously there. He's got a great gas tank. He's fighting Royval, who's a bit crazy and reckless at times, and that can lead to explosive finishes and entertaining fights. But against a seasoned guy and former world champion who has wins over Davis and Figueiredo, I just don't see it playing out well. Yes, they fought once before. Royval was losing. He did get injured. Moreno to win, money line is minus 290. So it forces you into a position where you're probably parlaying that. I'll mention this name, money line, as a parlay at the end. But looking at the submission prop, that's plus 320. Could Brandon Moreno wear down Royval and lock up a submission later on in the fight, maybe a rear naked? Definitely doesn't blow my mind, though we've seen Royval take on Pantoja, who's a dangerous grappler, and go the full distance. So Moreno decision, I must mention as well, plus 160. The confidence on the highest degree becomes the money line at minus 290, which is not beautiful to look at, but it's going to come to fruition. And it's definitely something to parlay up. And we'll discuss Moreno's name again in that parlay section. The next one, Hayani Barcelos, Christian Quinones. Yes, Barcelos is old and slightly past his prime. Christian Quinones, though, I just don't think is all that good. Yes, he had an explosive knockout of Khalid Taha, and I know that Barcelos beat Taha on the scorecards. But Kyung-Ho Kang to submit you, kind of make it look easy in the first round. I think that Quinones is going to be susceptible to the grappling of Hayani Barcelos here. And Barcelos has competent Muay Thai strike, and he's pretty good. He's a solid stand-up fighter. He's got okay pop. He's not a knockout puncher, but he still can hurt you and make you respect his power on the opposite front. Now, Quinones likes to fight with the hands out far and more of like a distance style striking. I do think Barcelos is going to be able to find his way inside, potentially find body lock trips or even takedowns against the cage. I see Barcelos finding ways on top of Quinones and out-positioning him in the grappling department. Yes, Hayani Barcelos is 1-4 in his last 5 fights, but to me, Christian Quinones has never fought anybody to the level here inside of the UFC as Barcelos. This is the biggest fight of Quinones' career, and it's coming off of a loss where he was taken out quickly. I think it was 225 of the first round. He got subbed by Kyung-Ho Kang. Barcelos is just not a guy that's like motivated to finish. He's not been getting finishes in a while. Now, he's also very hard to finish as well, so I don't love the probability of him winning by finish. What I do think is highly possible here is over 1.5, which is minus 175, which seems like a weird steal at the moment. Over 2.5, which is plus 135, which I think is possible too. Though Quinones was submitted last time by Kyung-Ho Kang, doesn't mean he's going to get submitted here by Barcelos. I think Barcelos can dominate the position. Barcelos not known for the sub. Quinones, tough guy with a solid chin. I think could take a good shot from Barcelos. I'm going to pick Hayani Barcelos on the judges' scorecards as the official call. Prop is not released yet. My decision will be interesting, but you get big plus money on the over 2.5 rounds. I think that's interesting. Next one is Felipe Dos Santos, minus 290. He's just better than Altamirano. I think when you look at it, Dos Santos, kickboxing more dangerous, jiu-jitsu more threatening. Where Altamirano or Altamirano, I know people shit on my pronunciation. I say it very Italian. My apologies. Mamma mia. Altamirano, though, at plus 245 as a dog, the reason that I don't see him, right, as a live dog with much of a shot is he doesn't really have power. He's not a heavy-handed guy. If he punches you in the face clean and you leave your chin out there and you're throwing some wild, sure, you can knock anybody out, but anybody could. Felipe Dos Santos is a much more dangerous striker. Where Altamirano has a little bit of maybe an advantage is purely in the takedown department, but not necessarily from controlling in the top position. I think Dos Santos should win. I think Dos Santos would be a great parlay piece. Minus 290 for Dos Santos money line. It's wide, but it's going to hit. It's interesting. The over is minus 245, really juiced up, whereas the under is plus 195. Felipe Dos Santos has good finishing ability, though I respect the durability of Altamirano on the other side. Dos Santos by decision is plus 105 with an inside distance at plus 195. What's a knockout for Dos Santos? Plus 300 and a sub at plus 500. I would lean the knockout over the sub at plus 300, but my official prediction is still going to sit at decision because I do respect the Mexican toughness, but Altamirano does dip a bit with his head, and I think there's knees up the center, even uppercuts that could potentially land. I think Felipe Dos Santos has a great chance to win this fight. He gave Manel Kape a nightmare, even though he lost. Like, it was tough as hell for a debut guy coming in against a ranked contender who's been fighting the best for years. And Dos Santos is 23, guys. He's a 23-year-old. Altamirano wasn't doing MMA until he was 26. Give me Dos Santos for the win. High confidence, man. I'm feeling real good about Dos Santos. Now, the last one, nobody's jumping up and down with joy. Yeah, minus 445, it sucks. The money line sucks, but I still believe Shirez to get it done at minus 445. Probably winning via submission, which, again, I don't have the full slew of props, but I'm assuming is going to be sitting at some type of plus 115 at the worst here. I think Shirez is probably submitting Daniel Lacerda again. You remember the first fight? He had that guillotine. Ref jumped in early. I don't think that Daniel Lacerda da Silva was going to find a way out of it. Yeah, we're getting a rebooking, but I think the fight repeats what happened last time, just with an actual win for Shirez this time out. And obviously the honorable mention was Nemov, minus 575. He's a huge favorite. Him and Shirez maybe in a parlay together to bring your odds a little bit better. But like, both of those are not my favorite parlay pieces. The parlay piece at the end that I'm putting together that I love the most will be the first one I bring up, and we'll talk about that as we get there. But the next segment is the favorite underdogs. I got to talk some dogs that I'm feeling on this card. I have two underdogs that I'm feeling solid about. Right now we have who? Claudio Puelles. And who's the other one? Jesus Aguilar. So I'm mispronouncing his damn name. I'm sorry, Aguilar. Listen, I'm going to first talk Puelles, who, yes, has a style that's irritating. I don't want to have the money on the guy that's fallen to his back and getting outstruck for 3 rounds. I understand. But the possibility of the submission for Puelles against a Faraz Ziam just seems high to me still. Puelles lost to Dan Hooker, who's top 10 in the world. Ziam is not near that ranking, and Ziam has been submitted in the past. Puelles is a submission specialist with a very awkward style. Yes, for sure. His knee bars are his best aspect. And who's doing that in MMA? Knee barring people up like that. Not many. He's a plus 180 underdog. I think as a plus 180 dog, he has a very live chance to win. I think the submission is going to be very live whenever they drop that prop. By the time it's recording, it doesn't exist, but I'm telling you, the submission prop is a good idea because Puelles winning and submission in this matchup specifically, I think kind of go hand in hand. So Puelles plus 180 and expect the sub line in the plus 200 range. Good dog there, even though risky dog with Ziam striking being better for sure. I just worry that that knee is getting ripped apart. Now looking at Jesus Aguilar, plus 108, plus 116, plus 123. It depends where you're at. He's plus money though. Mateus Mendoza is so overrated. Because he trains with Shoot Their Box, Diego Lima, the hype is there. Because he's got savage face tats and blue hair, the hype is there. He got ran over by Nate Maness. This fight is going to be a competitive back and forth, though. This isn't a Nate Maness fight where he gets run over. So I understand the hesitancy on the Jesus Aguilar side. He opened up at minus 110, currently plus 108. He even swelled up to like plus 120. It's a pick'ems fight where Aguilar is a slight dog. Aguilar can out-wrestle Mendoza. I do think Mendoza's got solid striking, and Aguilar's going to be giving up a lot in reach. But Aguilar is going to have the physicality advantage, and we're in Mexico City. I got to go Aguilar to win. Now, as far as looking at what is the over 1.5, minus 170. Over 2.5 is plus 120, so a finish is expected here. Moneyline Aguilar over 1.5. One of those two makes the most sense at the plus 108 range. I think Aguilar is an okay underdog. I don't think he's the greatest dog of all time. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. Luis Rodriguez and Bondar has been near even money. I picked Luis Rodriguez. Didn't he open as a dog? Yeah, he opened up as a dog, but the line is shifted in the other direction. I think Luis Rodriguez got a shot. We'll talk the Luis Rodriguez fight, though, actually in the prop section next. But those are my favorite dogs on the card. I think they Both have fair chances. Maybe not the greatest dogs ever, though, because of UFC success rates not being through the damn roof. But I think Puelles gets a sub and Aguilar gets a hard-fought decision. Those are my two underdogs, favorite underdogs on the card. Let's jump to the Degen props of the night. Listen, they're not all going to be completely degenerate, but they are all worth discussing. Rodriguez Bondar over 2.5, minus 165. Flyweights over makes a ton of sense to me. I think there's a very high probability of that over hitting. What's a Rodriguez decision? Plus 275? Rodriguez is less expected to win a decision. That's interesting. I think he's got a good shot to win a decision. But the real Degen prop was supposed to be just the over 2.5, but now had to read off the decision. Now, Muhammad Naimov by knockout, which for whatever reason we don't have a line yet, but still just telling you guys the Muhammad Naimov knockout at plus money makes sense. Raul Rosas to win this fight by a hard-fought and grimy decision kind of makes sense, even though Turcios is a hard fight. The over 2.5, minus 135, and Rosas by decision, plus 225. But looking at it, I don't love that Rosas decision. But if he is to win, I don't think he strangles Turcios or armbars him. So that's why if you're picking Rosas, it's probably scorecards. And then let's see here. Zellhuber to win by submission. I didn't mention him in the most confident picks because I respect Prado's power. But Zellhuber by sub is all the way up at plus 500. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. Could potentially beat up Prado, wear on him, and sub him up. I don't think that's the greatest call ever, but I don't know. I guess why am I shitting on it? Fuck that. That is the greatest call ever. Plus 500. Zellhuber by submission. Yeah, it's going to hit. My confidence is actually jumping up, as I said. I didn't see him submitting him. Now, this Yair Rodriguez-Brian Ortega fight. Interesting matchup, right? The Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez line is flipped. It was plus 130 for Yair at open, minus 150 for Ortega, and then it completely flipped. Now we got Yair as the favorite. Over 2.5 is minus 155. I mean, I do think we're going into the third round between these savages. I feel like we make it to that later stage. Third is live for Yair to finish him. Fourth, fifth. Could end up going long. Ortega's talking about he's like an eagle and he's been reborn. So I do respect Brian Ortega, and his toughness is absolutely there. So I could see him surviving a storm. But those are the Degen props of the night that I really felt like talking about here. I want to talk parlays next. And I'm probably most excited for this parlay right here. You're going to say, bro, that's shit. Minus 126, that's it? Well, I'm trying to give you a sure W, okay? Brendan Moreno and Felipe Dos Santos winning just make perfect sense to me. I can't really see it in any other fashion besides both of them winning. If these two lose on the card, I think I'm surprised. I'm like shocked, actually. Next one to add in, you want to add a little more steam. Manuel Torres plus 192. Now you got three that I think have a good chance of coming through. Get yourself, in a pretty good spot with plus 192. And you're not going crazy chasing like high-risk dogs or anything too damn wild. What's the Rodriguez and Bondar over looking at? Minus 163, plus 370 for that. I mean, if you want to risk it all, throw Puelles to get you in the plus 1,200 range. But if you're like, nah, I don't trust Puelles' guard pulling ass, I don't really fucking blame you. I don't blame you at all. I think that, you're intelligent for not trusting it. Hani Barsalos plus 640. Risky, though, throwing Chires on it, too, because now when you get a lot of favorites in, you're throwing it to the fucking house, and they might be kicking our asses with one of them dropping the bag. But I do think Chires probably wins here. When we take them out, we still got plus 640 for some high-confidence picks, a nice over. And then, I mean, if you want to throw the side of Puelles by dog, plus 19.72, there's a possibility of that coming through. Ballsy, but possibility is there. It's set forth. The over is close money here, plus 3,000. Holy shit, if you add that in. Rosas straight. Do you want to throw the whole parlay on Rosas? Probably not. I'll probably shit myself. I kind of like the idea of a prop parlay with Barsalos by decision, Torres by knockout and then just like the money line of Moreno and Dos Santos. But as of right now, I don't have all those options, but I would have brought them up. It's just they haven't dropped them all. That's kind of where my head's at with parlays. Be intelligent this week. There might be some fucking landmines, but ultimately, I think we can also, find some diamonds and avoid those damn landmines. Find some gold this weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's best MMA bets. I enjoyed chopping it up with you guys. Make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on too. Daily content. Keep your eyes peeled right here at the MMA Experts channel. I appreciate my supporters. Let me know in the comments, what is your lock? What are some of your most confident picks? Some of your favorite props and parlays? I want to see what the people are betting. And if you got nothing to say in the comments, but you just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Much love, my people, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.